I'm Ken Besler of Kenneth Besler Ministries, Canada. We have begun our study on the revelation of Jesus Christ. In part 1, we are looking at the setting as is depicted by the Synoptic Gospel writers Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Today we will look at Jesus' answer to the threefold question of the disciples to show that Jesus answers indeed one answer to one question. If you will, turn with me to Matthew chapter 24 and we will pick up where we left off last time. Let us observe verse 9. Verse 9 begins with the word then. And verse 16 begins with the word then. Verse 21 begins with the words for then. Verse 23 begins with the word then. Verse 30 begins with the word and then. And verse 40 begins with the word then. These words are subordinate conjunctions. Let us also look at verse 15. It begins with the word when, and this is an adverb of time. Now, subjunctions or subordinate conjunctions and adverbs of time do not diminish from the context. What they in fact are doing are introducing us to additional information to what has been previously said. So Jesus is conveying a message. He's giving information about the question of the disciples that is continuous. Jesus did not all of a sudden go into some time warp and talk about the destruction of the temple in the first century and then talk about events 2,000 years later. He's addressing one question. He's using correct grammar. Now the Greek word for the word then, which is the subordinate conjunction, is tate. And the Greek word for the adverb of time is aten. So if you care to pursue this further, you may look that up and you will find this to be so. So, let us look at Luke. Luke chapter 21. Verses 9 and 20. Verse 9, but when. And verse 20, and when. So we see that Luke is using adverbs of time. Let us go to verse 10, then. Verse 20, and when. Verse 21, then. Verse 27, and then, is using subordinate conjunctions. And let's look at Mark's account, chapter 13. Verse 7, and when. Verse 14, but when. Adverbs of time. Let's look at verse 14. But when. Verse 21. And then. Verse 26. And then. Verse 27. And then. So as we read through these passages, we will understand that is one complete thought, one complete context, one complete address. Not about something in the first century, then something in the 20th century, but something that is all about what is about to happen in the first century. Let us turn to Matthew 24. And let us read through it and take note of these things. Let us pick up on Jesus' answer, beginning from verse 4. And Jesus answered, said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in many places. All these are the beginnings of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Okay, notice you. He's talking to his disciples, you. He's not talking to people centuries later. He's talking to the disciples, the things that they will face in the first century. Verse 10, and then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another, and many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. When you, therefore, shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whosoever reads, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Those who are in Judea, they are to flee. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house, neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. This is a very urgent time. They were not to be tied down by the things of the world. But pray that your flight be not in winter, neither on the Sabbath day, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. For the elect's sake those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they should deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as the lightning comes out of the east and shines even in unto the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. For whosoever, or for wheresoever the carcass is, There will the eagles be gathered together. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall give her light, or shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Notice the sign of the Son of Man. Remember, only Matthew uses the term sign of your coming, sign of the Son of Man. The sign is not the thing itself, but something that depicts something else. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender and puts forth leaves, you know that summer is near. So likewise you, when you shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Verily I say to you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. There it is again. Remember we read Matthew chapter 23. Everything shall fall upon this generation. Okay? And here again, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled, speaking about the generation of his day in the present tense. And we can stop there. I think by now we have understood that Jesus is talking about his generation. He's talking about the judgment of Israel, the rebellious house. Their time had come. They had killed the prophets. Blood was on their hands. Thank you again for joining me for this segment of the study of the revelation of Jesus Christ. As always, you may address your correspondence to Kenneth Besler Ministries, 2011@gmail.com. That's Kenneth Besler, spelled B-E-S-L-E-R, 2011@gmail.com. Thank you. Hope to see you next time. God bless.